What do you think the most popular car driven by wealthy people is?
Tesla.
It could be Tesla.
I'd say Range Rover. Anybody that has money or has had money, you need to own one at some point.
Well, what if I told you the number one car is actually
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Coming in at the bottom of the list at number 5 is Subaru. Now, I really love these cars. I've actually driven a couple of them myself, and I found them to be one of the safest cars out there and one of the most reliable. My wife was actually in a pretty bad accident in a Subaru, and it pretty much saved her life, so it doesn't surprise me that they come in at number 5. I think we'd all agree that when you think of wealthy people and the cars they drive, you think of Range Rovers, Mercedes, Lamborghinis, cars like that. But Experian Automotive did a study in 2022 that found something that might surprise you. They did a study of households that make over $250,000 a year, and they found that Mercedes, Lamborghini, McLaren, all those brands you'd expect aren't even in the top 5. They're not even in the top 10. By the way, I'm actually sitting in the number 1 car brand on the list, so if you think you know it, let me know in the comments before you watch the whole video. And if you get it right, I'll give you the sincerest of congratulations. This is the wrong ramp. How long do I have to live here before I know where I'm going? Dang it. Coming in at number 4 on the list is Lexus. And if you think about wealthy people, you think, what do they value, even over money? Time. I think that's what drives the cars on this list. No pun intended. Because when you think about Subaru, you think about Lexus and maybe some of the other cars on this list, you think about reliability. If you don't have to spend all your time in the garage taking your car to the shop, you're going to have a lot more time and a lot less effort just to take care of these cars. Think about like a Range Rover or a Lamborghini or even a Mercedes, Cadillac. Those cars are expensive to maintain for one, but they're always in the shop. That's one thing I always hear about Range Rovers, they're always in the shop. I thought my wife bought stuff at Target a lot before we had a kid. Now I feel like I'm doing pickups from here every single day. All right. One errand done. Where was I? Cars in the shop, yeah. So if you think about a wealthy person, they don't want to spend a bunch of time when they could be making money worrying about their car in the shop, which is why I think Lexus is so high on this list. How do I get out of this parking lot? Which brings me to number 3, Ford. I know I just said all that stuff about reliability, but I think there's something to these as well. For one, they're cheap to fix, and also the Ford F-150, there goes one right now, is one of the top selling cars of all time. Rich people like their trucks. I don't blame them. But I think there's another factor in this list, which is car payments. Wealthy people don't like having car payments because it steals their money every single month. And I think this is one of the misconceptions of people who aren't wealthy, who want to be wealthy, and they're always buying new cars or want to get the next car or they want to buy a car on payment. This isn't something wealthy people do. They buy cars in cash. You think about this, I think the average car payment right now is like $700 a month. If you were to invest that over the next 30 years, you'd have a couple $1 million. So these wealthy people, these people making over $250K a year, they don't do car payments. They're investing for their future. And they're not buying these expensive luxury brand cars because they don't want to have car payments. Because they know the best way to build long-term wealth is to invest over time. It's funny, after working with a lot of people about their money and talking to them about their finances, you really get to see how many people have car payments. The next time you roll up to a stoplight and you see all kinds of nice cars around you, just imagine every one of those people most likely has car payments. Nice truck, $1,000. Nice Mercedes, $1,200. These people look rich, but they're most likely not. Which brings me to number 2 on the list, Honda. There's this idea of looking rich versus actually being rich. That's where people get stuck when they buy these luxury brand cars like Mercedes or BMW. They really just want to look wealthy, and they're not. When you see these other people driving these fancy cars, there's this urge to keep up with people, when in reality, like I said, they probably all have car payments. But when you look at someone driving a Honda, they don't care. They just want a car that goes and is reliable. And this study shows us that those people driving the Hondas, they're actually the rich ones. And you've probably heard of this guy named Jeff Bezos. He famously drove a 1997 Honda for a long time, even when he was worth $8 billion.
I've got a follow-up question.
Okay.
What's with the Honda?
I think what Jeff Bezos knows that a lot of poor people don't know is that cars don't really matter. They're really fun, there's some really nice cars out there, and if you can put your ego aside, which is easy to do when you're worth $8 billion, who cares what you drive?
This is a perfectly good car.
They get you from point A to point B, they get you to work, they get you back, and who cares if they're not the newest, most fancy car out there? And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck when they're looking at buying their next car. They make a lot of assumptions about cars that just aren't true. So think about this next time you're buying a car. Ask yourselves these questions. A couple of the biggest things people always say when they're looking at getting a new car is newer cars are more reliable, they're safer, and they're overall better cars. But if you really do some research and look into this, you'll find that that's not necessarily true. People just go with their gut assumption and then they make big financial decisions based on assumptions, which is why I've personally decided to drive an older, cheaper car. This one right here. 5 years ago, I had $1,000 in car payments between our two cars. And that's $1,000 I wasn't able to invest every single month, which I now can. Hi there.
What can I get started for you?
Can I have a decaf honey lavender latte? And then can I have I think an Americano? Thank you. Thanks so much. You too. See you later. Wow, she was very nice. Oh, what was I saying? So, and for all those reasons, that's why I've personally decided to drive a cheaper and older car, especially because I'm just commuting every day. It gives me money to invest. I don't care what other people think. I'm married, so I'm not trying to pick up chicks anyway. And that's why I drive the #1 car brand on this list, which is Toyota. You might have seen that coming. And if you guessed it before you watched the whole video, congratulations.